Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by our good friends at NovaCopy. Folks, NovaCopy will provide your company with a free, that's zero cost, that's no expense, that is totally free cost analysis of your business, your document needs, and your workflow. Give NovaCopy a call this week. It doesn't cost you anything, and it could save your business thousands of dollars. NovaCopy, free cost analysis. There's no reason not to call them. All right, want to welcome back Bob, Sterling, Jimmy, and for the first time we have Chuck Cavaleris over at our brand new black glass magnetic wipey board. People who thought we were going to get rid of the wipey board, forget it. I'm never getting rid of the wipey board. We can do more stuff with that and present more information with that than any other way. Here's what we're going to do very quickly, guys. Going into tonight's game, I've listed, and depth charts are so questionable at this point, so I've kind of given a ballpark depth chart for the different position groups. I want to figure out, and you're just going to put a check mark or an X there, which areas should fans feel good about going into tonight's game? Not down the road, tonight's game. Which areas are more concerned? Chuck, I'll give you a start with the quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, it's the first time they've been in the same system, the same terminology for 2 straight years. I feel good about it, but I don't know that we've seen the consistency on the field yet. So I'm not ready to give it a check just yet.
Okay. Everybody?
I'm going to agree with Chuck.
Okay.
I don't think right now you can give it a check. See what happens.
Well, you got to see what happens. I mean, performance and wins always helps the quarterback. Yeah. So but I am confident they will play better than what they did last year, no matter who's behind the center.
All right.
I feel pretty decent about Worley, but he needs help.
Around it, right.
Yeah, so if the offensive line can't pass protect, that's going to impact his performance. I like the I'll leave it at that.
I think that's an X. I mean, we're having to be harsh here, so that one gets an X. Offensive line. Now, there's no depth chart there. And you may have some guys moving around, but Gillum, Jackson, Crowder, Robertson, Kerbis, and you may have some other folks that are in that mix as well. Offensive line has to be an X, doesn't it? At this point, you can't have confidence. You've never seen them play together.
No, I have much more confidence in Worley than I do in the offensive line.
Okay.
You got one start combined from last year returning on this group.
Yeah, what I like about this group, they're gritty. That's a gritty group right there. So they're gonna play. They're gonna have
to be gritty this year.
Are they nitty too? Nitty gritty.
They nitty gritty.
All right. Running backs, Chuck. This may be the one area where it gets a check mark.
Yep.
I think it is. You know, Marlon Lane, and then you've also got so much excitement about what Jalen Hurd's going to bring to the table. I would give it a check.
Yeah.
I would give it a check too.
Okay, that was easy.
Check it out.
This one, some young talent here. Pearson, Malone, we've never seen in game action, but still, I think you'd have to give, just based on what you've seen, heard, practices, scrimmages, what you saw last year out of North and Howard. I think you'd have to give a check mark and feel pretty good about the receivers and ends as well, tight ends as well.
I'm going to give it a check mark just based on North and Howard. I mean, those are 2 SEC caliber, upper end SEC caliber ball players. So the other guys, let's see how they do, but I'd give it a check mark because of those 2.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, based on practice, I think these other guys have shown a lot of promise too, with Malone and Smith, who's had a really good camp. So I'd go check mark.
Sterling, you're high on Pearson, I know.
I love Pearson, and I love those other guys that receive. I'm gonna tell you, I'm put that check on steroids. Give it a check plus. Let's go, baby.
That check will pay for that in 20 years. Defensive line. Vereen, O'Brien, Williams, Majid, you can see him. They're going to use him all over the place. You haven't seen them together as a unit. I think it's an X until you see them together.
X marks the spot.
Yeah, I mean, and I would feel better about the defensive line than the offensive line, and it's closer to getting a check, but I don't think you can do it quite yet.
Right. Small X. Well, we won't be able to see that. There you go.
I'm going to give them a check because of their athleticism. That athleticism on that defensive line is being underrated right now. Okay. I think they're going to surprise us today.
All right. Linebackers. You got A.J. Johnson, looking at kind of a nickel package here. So you got Johnson, Maven, Bates and Jumper, your freshmen are right there behind them. That worries me a tad. If you're getting into the freshmen that quickly, I don't know that I'm giving that a check mark.
I'm giving it a check.
Because of A.J. Johnson?
Because of Bates.
Oh, you've never seen
but I'm giving it a check. I have faith.
It's the lineage.
The faith of a mustard seed, as they say.
We got a check, we got an X.
I wouldn't go check yet.
Okay.
No, I'd want a little more. And Jalen Reeves-Maven is moving from one position to another. He's had a good camp, though.
Yeah.
Probably had a good camp.
And A.J. Johnson, to me, is the undisputed leader of your football team. But if you've already got freshmen here now as starters, what happens if somebody gets hurt?
Exactly.
So, I think it is an X for now.
Well, how can it be an X? I didn't get my chance yet.
All right,
man.
what's your
going
chance?
on? I'm going check, baby, for AJ.
We factored that in ahead of time.
You got to factor that in. I mean, this guy is all SEC performer. And he's a leader of the team, and he's definitely a leader of that core. So at worst case, they're average to me because of him.
Well, okay. All right, defensive backs.
I think
And that's kind of a nickel look. Sutton, Coleman, Mosley, another corner. And then you get Swafford and Randolph.
I think you've got to give it an X. Although Randolph has shown in the past that he's a
can
good
have-
player when healthy. I think Sutton showed a lot of promise last year. And then, I mean, you've got, another freshman in there too. But
Let's go
I
quickly,
would
guys.
still, I'd have to give that an X.
I would too. Got to prove it yet.
Okay.
X.
Check from Sterling.
Check, baby, check it. Check it out.
Yeah,
Right,
we're all
check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
I hate to be negative, but until they prove it,
Yeah.
this just shows you how much we haven't seen. How many of these new guys are on this team? It's hard to grade them when you haven't seen them, unless you're Sterling.
Hey.
And like we were saying, going into a season with so many questions and so many unknowns, right? And that's going to be one of the most exciting things about it.
And actually, I shouldn't say that because Sterling, as Mr. DJ, probably sees these guys more than the rest of us. Right over there. Special teams, you get Matt Darr, your punter. The kicker, depends on how that one goes during the game. I think one miss, you're going to have a change there possibly. Young is your kick returner and Sutton your punt returner. I feel okay about that group. You lost your MVP from a year ago.
Right.
But if I'm going to try and be generous and give a check mark somewhere, at least I've seen some of those guys.
I'm going to give this a check mark.
I'm going to go X.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
I would say
Your kickers haven't proven anything.
right.
Okay.
I mean, what happens if it comes
And
down
your
to a
punter
40?
hadn't either.
What happens if it comes down to a 45-yard field goal to win the game? Right now,
Yeah.
are you giving it a check or an X?
Okay, give it an X. I tried to be nice. There you go. All right.
What about my check? I think Devin Young's going to return a few for
That's
touchdowns,
just a
baby.
given. That's just a given. All right. All right. When we come back, a pair of special guests join us here on the Sports Source. Coming back, I think Bobby Denton fans will like one of the things that Jeff Jarnigan's doing, and Jeff's one of those guests. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Follow the Sports Source online at sportsource.tv and on Twitter at SportsSourceTV.